Welcome to first grade. My name is Kim DeYoung, and I am your child's teacher this year. This is an example of our daily schedule. We begin each day with morning meeting, and that is where we greet each other, and we will typically engage in some type of group activity. The next thing in our schedule is reading workshop. In reading workshop, we use a CAFE structure, which stands for comprehension, accuracy, fluency, and expand vocabulary. For comprehension, we will talk about checking for understanding, story retelling. We will discuss character traits inside as well as out. We'll use the Fab4, which are additional comprehension strategies. We talk about illustrations and key details, being able to help strong readers comprehend what they read. And another skill that we work toward is being able to identify the main topic and key details of a text. For accuracy, we use a variety of decoding strategies to figure out those tricky words. Not only do we talk about reading with accuracy, but we talk about fluency, reading at an appropriate rate, and as well as reading with expression. For expanding vocabulary, we talk about tuning into those interesting words and working to infer the meanings of those words based on the text that we're reading. Right now in reading workshop, we're working toward independence as well as building stamina. So eventually I'll be working with students in small groups to work toward reading goals. But until students are working more independently and building more stamina, that's something that we're working toward right now. But once they are able to do that, then I can begin to work in small groups. And this is a poster that we are working to complete. We come up with a plan for how, as a class, we'll build our reading stamina, and then we track our progress throughout the beginning of the year. Something else that we use a lot of is rubrics in our classroom. And so rubrics show levels of understanding based on a learning goal. And so we will reflect on our learning. And this is an example of our reading rubric at this point in the year. One is always a what? And in this case, we say, what is stamina? The level 2 is needing help based on the learning goal. And in this case, it's needing help building stamina. 3 is always that I can statement, and that's our goal. That's what we're working toward. In this case, we're working to I can build my reading stamina. And a 4 is always more. It's above and beyond. And in this case, it's I can build my stamina, but I can also be a role model to teach others. In order for me to make the use of rubrics and reflecting on learning engaging for students and exciting, I like to use these rubric classes. And we do a rubric wrap. Once the kids learn it, I'm sure they'll come home and do it for you. But it's a great way for us to have a little fun while we reflect on our learning and use these rubrics, again, based on each of the learning goals that we'll have throughout the year in each content area. After reading workshop, we'll take a little snack break. Please be sure to pack a water bottle as well as a snack daily. After snack, we'll engage in word study. And for word study, we use a Fundations program. Right now, we are reviewing letters and sounds as well as letter formation. After we review all of those letters and sounds, we'll get into being able to read and spell what we call first grade words based on certain spelling concepts. One of those concepts is welded, or also known as glued sounds. We talk about short vowel sounds as well as long vowel sounds. We talk about R-controlled vowels as well as words with vowel teams. And again, the goal is being able to read and spell these first grade words. In math, we use a program called Eureka Math. It's broken up into different components of each lesson. We begin the lesson with some type of fluency practice, and we work on fluency sprints. We'll do some counting activities as well as a class. After fluency, we work on some type of application problem. Typically, it's based on the previous day's lesson. It will be some kind of problem where we can apply whatever our newly learned concept or skill is. After the application problem, we engage in the longest portion of the lesson, which is the main goal or the main focus of the day, and that's called the concept development portion of the lesson. After that, we do a student debrief, which is really our class discussion to help us to process and hone in on whatever the skill was that we learned and give us a chance to reflect and discuss. After that, we will complete some type of exit ticket, and that shows students that are able to that understand the day's topic or the day's focus, and it also gives me information on students that aren't quite there yet, so I can provide more one-on-one direct instruction at a later time to help catch them up. For our encore schedule, that is typically aftermath. Day 1 is Spanish, or SSI, which is technology. Day 2, as well as day 4, we have phys ed. Please be sure to encourage your child to wear sneakers on those days so they're able to participate. On day 3, we have art. Day 5, we have music as well as library. Please remind your child to bring their library book if you happen to remember. After our special or encore each day, we'll come back to the classroom and we have writing workshop. We use a program called Strategies for Writers, and it focuses on these 6 traits of writing. This is an example of our Voices menu, which is where we post each of the strategies under the 6 traits within a writing unit. This is an example of a Voices menu from our narrative unit. Voices stands for voice, organization, ideas, conventions, excellent word choice, and sentence fluency. This is our Voices menu, and typically students will be working toward a specific goal based on whatever our unit is in writing at that moment. And here are some examples of Voices menus that we have used in the past, and you can see a sticky note there that just helps students be able to focus on whatever their specific learning goal is at the time. This is an example of a student checklist. So as we're engaging in some type of writing unit, in this case, it's a friendly letter, students have this checklist so that each day during our mini lesson, whatever the focus of the day is taught, it's modeled for students, and then students have an opportunity to try that out or apply it in their writing, and then they go ahead and mark that off on their individual checklist. Again, one of the types of writing that we teach is narrative, but we also teach informational as well as opinion writing. Following writing workshop, we'll engage in either science or social studies. We use a program called Mystery Science to teach science, and we focus on 3 different areas or units throughout the year. First, we talk about plant and animal structure and survival, space systems, patterns and cycles, and finally, light and sound. When we are not doing science, which is a 9-week time frame, we then alternate to social studies. And in fact, we're starting with social studies at this point in the year. Right now, we're focusing on My Class, My Community. Next, we'll focus on our place in the world, followed by cultural traditions. After science or social studies, we have a time in our day called IE, which stands for Intervention Extension. I like to call it Growing Brains with Students because really that's what it is. We talk about this idea of having a growth mindset, not a fixed mindset, but growth, one in which students' brains grow. My brain grows. All of our brains grow. So instead of saying, I can't do this, I'll never be able to do this, we change what we're saying and we say, I'm not there yet. I'm not there yet, and that's okay. I'm going to get there with hard work and with effort. So during this Growing Brains or IE time, students work on some type of individual goal. They could decide to work on math at this time, or writing, reading, whatever it is that they want to. This is really their time to work on that. And while students are working on their specific goals, I will pull a group and I will provide some type of intervention or extension depending on what kids need at what point. I'd like to share a little bit about our school culture, our school community, as well as our classroom community. I think it's really important to build that community. Our hashtag this year is WC to the core, which stands for Woodcrest to the core. Core referring to our 6 core values here at Woodcrest: respect, citizenship, accountability, kindness, integrity, and responsibility. And here you'll see our Woodcrest School Pledge. In our classroom, we have a character wall where We really are going to focus on the 6 core values and providing examples. And anytime we see someone demonstrating, modeling one of these core values, we stop during the day and we talk about it. And I really want kids to continue to develop their good character. And we talk about that good character. It's really who you are, even when no one is watching, even when no one is stopping to say, wow, great job. But it's just who you are at your core. So we'll continue to have a big focus in our classroom as well as here at the school. First graders are flexible. We talk about this all of the time. And I really try to build that in students, not only in the classroom, but oftentimes it will carry over into home life or play dates with friends, other places. But kids begin to realize that they are flexible. They don't have to be rigid. We kind of go with the flow. We say, you know what? This has to change, and that's okay. We're going to try our best to be okay with it. And sometimes we're not okay with it. But how can we navigate past that and through that? And how can we use strategies to help us move from not being okay with it to kind of getting to say, okay, things are going to be fine. We're going to be okay. So I constantly am talking with kids about that idea of being flexible and that first graders are flexible. Pete the cat is also a great reminder of this. Oftentimes he'll say in his books, it's all good. And so we'll talk about that when we read Pete the Cat books, as well as lots of other books together. I like this idea of FAIR. I really want students to work towards success. I want to work toward that with them. And we say FAIR is giving everyone what they need in order to be successful. One activity we haven't done yet, but I plan on soon, is this idea of writing an ailment on a card. Broken foot, scraped knee, bee sting, headache, and giving each child a real Band-Aid and saying, if you had a headache, would this Band-Aid help you? Well, no, a Band-Aid is not going to help you. If you had a scraped knee, would a Band-Aid help you? Yes, it would. So really making the connection between Band-Aids and how sometimes it will work for an ailment and sometimes it won't. Well, the same is true for learning. Sometimes one activity is going to work to help you continue to move forward and grow your brain. And sometimes that activity isn't a good fit for you. It's a better fit for somebody else. And so sometimes kids will say, hey, how come they get to play this game or do this activity? And we refer to this Band-Aid activity and we'll just say Band-Aid. That's all we have to say. And they know, oh, that's right. This is a good fit for them and not for me. And that's okay. And I'm going to get to do this activity because this is what I need. And so really, again, fairness, FAIR. It's giving everyone what they need to be successful. We do not all need the same things. And once again, that's okay. We say that a lot in our classroom. The Common Cove is an area in our classroom. This is a picture from last year, so it will look a little different this year, but I like to develop it with the kids as the year goes on. And it's a space in our room where kids can go just to take a break, maybe between writing and social studies. Kids just need a little transition time. They need a break. Maybe during reading workshop when kids are working on daily 5 choices and they're working on independent work, they do word work. And before they move on to work on writing, they just need a 2-3 minute break to kind of regroup and work with some kind of fidget tool or just sit there and take some breaths. Sometimes kids are sitting on the rug and they're very fidgety and it's a little tricky to redirect them. And so I might say, why don't you go take a break and come join us when you're ready? And so kids will do that. And they're really good at being able to know when when they're ready to come back and rejoin the group. So this is something we developed together as a class. Right there, you'll see a beanbag chair as well as some other fidget tools. But again, this is from last year. So this year, I can't wait to get that started with the kids and see what kind of things they would like in this Common Cove or take a break area of our classroom. And it's a really great way for kids to begin to self-regulate and notice when maybe they're just a little tired and they need kind of movement. So they get back there and they'll do some movement activities. Or someone's really upset. Maybe they're sad about something. They had a disagreement with a friend. They just need a few minutes to go to the Common Cove, regroup, and come back and join when they're ready. So I've had lots of success with this in the past few years, and I'm pretty sure it will continue with this group as well. Flexible seating is something we utilize in our classroom. Here are some examples. This is our living room, we refer to this as. We have couches and gaming chairs. You'll see those there. Lots of rug space for kids to relax on the rug or bring a scoop rocker, scoop chair over. As well, there you'll see some there, as well as some other chairs and things in our classroom. Some of the expectations for flexible seating is that number one, you're choosing a working spot that really does help you do your best work. Number two, you are using the seats appropriately. Three, really important, if a spot is not working for you, move to a better spot. Maybe you're sitting in a seat that isn't comfortable any longer and you thought it would be a good fit for you. Go ahead and move. Or you're sitting next to someone that's really distracting you. It's okay to move. The goal is to do your work. Number four is to take care of the community supplies in our classroom since we don't necessarily have assigned seats. We do have assigned seats at this point in the year, but depending on how that goes and depending on how the introduction of flexible seating goes, that may change where kids can go ahead and start to choose their spots on their own. It will really depend on what the class decides would be a good fit for all of us. So again, taking care of community supplies is really important. And five, when we go ahead and are able to choose our seats, Mrs. DeYoung can move anyone at any time. And so that's something we talk about. If you choose a spot and you're not focused or you're playing around, you're not focused, you're distracting other people, and you're not getting your work done. Unfortunately, you're showing that that's not really the best spot for you, and I'll have to find a spot that's a little bit better for you, a better fit. So students begin to know that. Really, the goal is when we are given that choice, we're able to be responsible and choose a good fit spot. Again, students may remain in their original seating choices as long as they're sitting appropriately. We need to be safe, and as well as they're focused and on task and completing work. Here's a flexible seating contract. Again, this is something that will be a slow process throughout the year. I've really had a lot of success with very slowly introducing flexible seating, starting to give kids choices and seeing how things work. We talk about it as a class, and we are constantly making changes to what is working for us and what is not. And I've done flexible seating for a few years now, and it's not looked the exact same each of those 3 years. It really depends on what the class decides is a good fit for them and what works for them. And I always say, if it works for you, it works for me. So this is a flexible seating contract. When we do begin to explore more of the flexible seating, it's important that kids know the expectations. So if you wouldn't mind having them sign this, you can go ahead and sign it as well. And please send it back to school. Once I get all of these signed, we can really start to dig in and I can introduce some of the other choices in our classroom. Technology is something that I absolutely love to integrate into our classroom. We have Chromebooks as well as iPads. And so I try to utilize these often in our classroom. It certainly does take some time. We don't use them too much at the beginning of the year. We're really working to establish basic routines of the day and get used to a full day in our schedule. But once students are really familiar with the routine and they're starting to build stamina and they're showing they're ready for a little bit more, then I love to begin to integrate that technology. And one thing that I love to use is this app called Seesaw. And right now I'm utilizing this app to communicate with you. I love to communicate with families in this way. And I'll share lots of information with you. It'll be something that we're learning about or telling you a book that we read and questions you could ask your child. So I try my best to keep you updated on what's happening in our classroom. But eventually Seesaw will be used for students to be able to share their work with you. So they might take a snapshot or picture of their work, and you might hear them talking about what they're doing. Or they might take a little video of something, and again, you may hear them talking to you and saying, hey, look, this is what I learned today. Again, that is a slow process too. We take it one step at a time. You may not see work from them for quite some time, but once we're ready and we're building our stamina and we're becoming more comfortable with the use of technology, then I'll definitely talk with kids more about sharing work and really being able to bring you into the classroom with us, but through the use of this technology. We'll also be using Google Classroom. And so again, once students are very familiar with the technology, I will assign them some type of activity. It could be a word work activity, a reading activity. And kids really do they really are able to navigate this well once they've had enough time to really acclimate themselves to it. And it's a great tool for me to use as well if I want to share a link with students, or I want them to check out this site or this activity. If they can navigate and get themselves into Google Classroom, it's a pretty easy way for me to do lots of things with them. And Flipgrid is just one of the many other examples of technology that we'll use. This is a contact information sheet, so I would love for you to share your information with me. And if you are able to initial, only if it's okay for me to share your contact information with other families. Sometimes parents want to invite students for a birthday party, or they want to just reach out and have a play date. So sometimes parents will ask for information, and I'm only allowed to share it if you initial next to it. If you're not comfortable with that, do not worry at all. There's no need to initial that. But I would definitely like your information, and I often will call home and share positive phone calls with you. I like to share as many positive things as I can, so that information would be helpful. I also would love for you to sign the bottom if you're comfortable with that. It is signing permission for me to share photos and videos with the families, with all of you, via Seesaw. So I just like you to, share to say that that's okay. And the second part of this is being able to share, again, pictures and videos of your children on social media, such as Twitter and YouTube. So if you follow Woodcrest on Twitter or myself on Twitter, I love to share Woodcrest's story, but our classroom story. I love to share what we are doing, and I have been inspired by the things that other teachers are sharing on Twitter. And I've had many people say, I love what you are doing with the class, and so it's a great way to inspire others, but also really just to share our story, let people know what we're up to in room number 3. The other thing is that I would like, permission to share not only on Twitter, but I put YouTube there as well because, for example, this video is on YouTube. Sometimes kids and I will come up with a way for us to share our learning. And I like to share that with parents. I'd like to share that with you. And the most efficient way that I've figured out to share with you is through YouTube. I can just upload whatever it is to YouTube. I can share that link with you via Seesaw, and then you can very quickly take a peek at our learning and see what we're doing. So again, if you're comfortable with that, please go ahead and sign. If you have any questions at all, please don't hesitate to ask. I'm happy to answer them for you. For homework, we have Woodcrest Family Night, which is the first Monday of each new month. It is no homework night, and so enjoy that night with your family. But aside from no homework night, typically homework is assigned Monday and due Friday. So it's a weekly homework menu. It encourages choice and flexibility. So it's not that you have to do every single assignment every single week, but really think about, what does your child need? And I'll let you know that, and I'm sure you'll come to know that. You know your children very well. I might highlight something that would be a good recommendation, but it encourages that choice and flexibility. So let's say your child has baseball practice or gymnastics one night, and you get home, and it's just enough time to get dinner and get, baths or showers and get them to bed. But all you can do is read that night, then absolutely that is what I want you to do. Whether you're reading to your child or they're reading to you, just go ahead and read. If you have a little bit more time on another evening, then go ahead and focus on some of the word work or math or writing activities. The other thing that the homework menu provides is information. So think of it as a newsletter almost, letting you know the types of activities that we are doing each week. Here's an example of a homework menu from last year. I pulled this to share with you just to give you an idea of what it may look like. There's a reading section, a math section, writing and word work, and then we have an other section where we may put science or social studies, different topics. We might put some character topics or reminders for you, just things like that. Then if you could just check off an initial and send it back on Friday, keep it all week, send it back Friday, that would be excellent. When the homework menu starts to come home, if you have any questions, concerns, anything you want to share with me, please let me know. And homework will begin in the beginning of October. So that will start to come home in just a few weeks. Birthday homework is something that I'll send home for when your child's birthday approaches. And the kids and I talked about ways that we can celebrate birthdays together. The one thing we said was not a good fit for our classroom was celebrating with food, and that's due to dietary restrictions and allergies and things like that. But I have to say, I have been doing this for, I can't even tell you, at least 10 years, I want to say, where we have not celebrated birthdays with food. And the kids, I've seen such a shift and change. The kids absolutely enjoy spending this time together. They love having this choice of how do I want to celebrate my birthday with the class. So it really empowers them to make that choice. And sometimes kids will choose what's on the list, or sometimes they'll come up with something just a little bit outside of the box in a way that they want to celebrate with the class. So I just asked for this to be sent back prior to their birthday so that I can, prepare if there's anything I need to prepare to celebrate your child's birthday. I can do that. Or if they've come up with an activity of their own, then I'm able just to make sure it's a good fit for our classroom and that, it will work out well. So I'm excited to celebrate with your child. One important note is that there is no food as part of our birthday celebrations. If you have any questions at all, please feel free to reach out about that. Dismissal. So if your child is going to be dismissed in a different way, please send a note in that day so I can forward it to the office. Or if it's the middle of the day and this change is being made, go ahead and call the office and let them know. Or you can send an email. If you do that, I ask you just to copy someone in the office. If you need more information about who to contact, just reach out and let me know. But I'm not always able to check my email consistently throughout the day. So I typically check it early morning, and then sometimes I'm not able to check it until the kids leave for the day. So I definitely check my email on a daily basis, but the consistency throughout the day does change depending on what's happening during the day. So while I'm at school, most of my time is spent preparing for lessons, looking at student work, and I may or may not get an email during the day. The same is true for Seesaw. If you happen to send me a message through Seesaw, if it's related to dismissal, again, I ask that you call the office or send an email to the office, as I may not get it. I don't always. I'll get a notification on my phone, and typically my phone is away. It's not out. Even during lunchtime, my phone is away. I'm getting the work done. So if you have a dismissal change, letting the office know or writing that note that I can forward to them is the best way to go about that. For a mystery guest, I would love for you to come in. You are wanted. I hope you will consider being a mystery guest this year. This is a chance for you to come in and not tell your child that you're coming. You could read a book or do some other type of activity. If you want to brainstorm ideas with me, let me know. But I would love for you to come in. Don't tell your child you're coming. And then what you will do is provide me with, say, 3 to 5 clues about yourself. And then we give the kids a chance to guess and see if they can guess your identity. Feel free to contact me to schedule a day and time. I don't have a sign-up sheet, but as you're interested in coming, I can be flexible with our schedule. We'll get you signed up, and the more the merrier. So again, we love mystery guests. The kids love visitors, and especially if you are able to surprise them, they think it's really amazing. So our class looks forward to your visit. I am looking for donations. I have many things I need for the classroom, but the one area that I am lacking, or our classroom is lacking, is games for indoor recess, or just a little bit of game time, a little bit of a break during the day. But mostly it's for that indoor recess time. So we have Connect 4. We have one of those. The kids love it. They absolutely love it. Here are some other examples. Honestly, any game that you want to send that you think is appropriate and the kids will enjoy, I would love. Even if it's a gently used game, you ready to clean out the playroom? I know I am. It's bursting at the seams, but just if you would be able to donate something, we would greatly appreciate it. And if not, no worries at all. I just thought I would throw it out there because oftentimes parents ask, what do you need? What can I do to help you? And this is one way that I was thinking would help our classroom. For communication, again, I really do like to communicate with you often. So one way you can get a hold of me is through sending a note. Again, calling the office, sending me an email, or you can reach me through Seesaw. Ways that I will communicate with you mostly, I will probably call you first and foremost. If it's something quick, I will send a message through Seesaw. If you're not connected to Seesaw, then I'll reach out through email, or I may even send a note. But often when I communicate with you, I typically like to call, especially if it's something that we might go back and forth a little bit, just because I figure it's great to have a conversation about it and not have to go back and forth. But like I said, if it's something quick, then I'll probably reach out through Seesaw. The best ways to get a hold of me are through Seesaw as well as email. I just want to end by saying I look forward to having a great year with you. And I think having a strong homeschool connection is really important. So connecting home and school makes us a great community of learners. And I'm really looking forward to working with each and every one of you. Behind every young child who believes in himself or herself is a parent who believed first. And I know you believe in your children. I believe in them too. And I'm really looking forward to work with you as a team. And anytime you have any questions, concerns, anything you want to chat about, I am available. I try to make myself available often. So please reach out. And I really look forward to an amazing year with you. Thank you all and have a great day.